The meeting of the Oceanside City Council, Harper District Board of Directors, Community Development Commission, and Oceanside Public Financing Authority is hereby convened. Due to the advance notice from the City Attorney on the cancellation of closed session, there is no quorum present. Therefore, this meeting is recessed until 5 p.m. on this date.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I should say good evening. It's 5 o'clock. Thank you for being here. I'm going to open this meeting of the Oceanside City Council, CDC, Harbor District, and January 21st, 2015. With that, roll call, please.
Mayor Wood?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lowry?
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Councilmember Crane?
Here.
Councilmember Feller?
Here. Thank you. With that, roll call. After that, let's go to consent calendar, please.
Yes, consent calendar, items 2 through 5.
Move approval.
Second. Public on any of
No
this?
public.
And none of the council, I see. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much. Item number 6, please.
Yes, item number 6 is approval of an expenditure in the amount of $25,000 for the Arts Commission budget for funding 6 projects that promote the arts in Oceanside, and authorization for library department staff to facilitate the funding award process.
Thank you very much. And with that, Brad, thank you.
Sure.
Good evening.
Hello. Oh, there we go. Honorable Mayor and Council members, I am Brad Penner, Library Division Manager, and I have the privilege of serving as City Staff Liaison to the Arts Commission. And with me tonight is Jonathan Foreman, Dean of Arts and International Languages at North Vista College, who is the current Chair of the Arts Commission. And we're here tonight to talk to you about the Community Arts Projects funding recommendations that the Commission made on at its December 1st meeting. And you can see the first slide illustrated with some of those projects that are already in the staff report. You can see the Lux Art Institute Family Art Night, the International Film Festival, the Oceanside International Film Festival, and TSFP crew, because they had a project proposing to fund local projects. The purpose of the Arts Funding Program was stated in a letter to Council last year from the Arts Commission to attempt to revive something. It wasn't inventing a new idea. It was trying to bring back something that had gotten budget acts in 2010 of the Council generously providing $25,000 over each year over multiple years, and the Commission then making proposals about what to do with that back to Council. In illustration there is of student from the Boys and Girls Club art program, which is another one of the proposed funding items. So we referenced that letter, and after Council approved that in the 2014-15 budget, applications were advertised through a news release to the community, and people were encouraged to apply with their organizations for up to $5,000. And the Arts Commission reviewed those last fall, and in December made 6 recommendations for programs to fund. And if Council were to approve the programs tonight, that would go forward with setting memoranda of agreement with each of the organizations, with the understanding that they have to provide reports back. and to the Arts Commission, and that they would have to return any funds that were not spent according to what they said in their program proposals. In the meantime, coming up here on February 2nd is the next regular Arts Commission meeting, at which the agenda items would include reviewing this process, taking any advice provided here or from the Commission members' experience or the participants' experience to look forward to returning to Council to propose to do this again. That assumes a lot of success. In reviewing the projects, and again here we have the Oceanside Theater Company's proposal to do a film of reviving radio drama, you can see at the top there, and the first Friday Oceanside Art Walk, in which my library department participates, as projects that again were proposed to get some support from this, quite a bit for the theater company's project, and for the maps that they hand out at Art Walk, and some graphic design. And we talked about the responsibility for managing the funds that the organizations would receive. And otherwise, the main deal is the Oceanside community, the citizens getting, the youth, anybody who has sort of art needs being met in a significant and meaningful way through these projects. And that was there were criteria in the application form, there were some guidelines that the commissioners used, and then there were their own sets of guidelines. Some of them developed pretty elaborate rubrics of their own to contribute to that process. But this gives you a good idea of what everybody was looking at in evaluating the proposals. And so these are the groups that we've been looking at as we were flashing through the slides that asked from everything from KOCT asking for $3,000 to the Boys and Girls Club asking for $10,000, and these were the proposals that the Arts Commission was going to say that they judged appropriate for each project, and we'll be asking Council to approve disbursing the funding under these guidelines and with these agreements, and authorizing library staff and the other library staff that might be needed to assist the applicants in receiving their funds and in monitoring the process. So Mr. Foreman and I are here for any questions anyone may have.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No public on this.
No public. Back to the council. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was thrilled to see that we restored the $25,000 to the Arts Commission. I wish it was more, and hopefully it will be more as we go forward. Especially thrilled that we're having all these groups coming together under with common goals. And very excited about the kind of expansion of the arts in Oceanside, including performing arts, the Arts Walk, and I mean, so really fantastic. And there's so many. I'm sure it was a tough job to decide. Okay, we only have $25,000. Which one? And they're all worthy projects. How do we do these selections? So the criteria is really nice. There is a project that brings to my mind where the kids at Crown Heights, through, I forget which program it is, a nonprofit organization, they actually taught the kids how to draw and actually paint, and then they had an art exhibit at the Museum of Art and had an auction of their pieces, and we were bidding against each other. And I ended up, getting outbid by, I think, one of the officers, community police officers, who wanted to have this painting so badly. So it's very, very exciting. I'm moving approval, of course, and thank you very much for, doing this and moving us forward in terms of really embracing the arts once again. Which puts Oceanside on the map. I really do feel that it puts Oceanside on the map. It's for our commercial activity as well, and just brings more people here and to our small businesses. And so it's really exciting. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you mind if, since I'm the liaison to the organization, if I make the motion?
I already made the motion, move approval.
No, do you mind if I do?
No, you can do it, yes. I'll be happy to second your motion, Jack.
Okay. Thank you. I make the
Mr.
motion.
Summer.
I make the motion.
There we go. We're fighting over who's going to make the motion.
Is that it, Jack? You're up next.
I do. I have there were at least double this applications.
Yes. There were 8 applications altogether, so they picked 6 out of the 8.
Oh, 6 out of the 8.
Mhm.
It seemed like I was getting something every day when this was going on. And I know they were trying to help as many as possible. And the question was the bigger bang for the buck or the spread it out a little bit. And I think you got to that. But they wrangled over this, and I think they came up with 6 good ones that will easily report back to us. We'll know the results from these for sure. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. And these monies, are they project specific? Or are they? You approved their project, so they submitted at least an outline of a project that you are willing to fund.
Yeah, they submitted very detailed proposals. They're summarized in your staff report, but they produced a volume of material, including PR material from previous projects and budgets and descriptions of each one of those. For instance, the Lux Art Institute had previously done the release project where they bring this case of art out to the schools, but this is the family art night where they actually bring like lots of art supplies to the elementary schools and say, okay, now everybody gets to make something instead of just looking at the artworks.
Well, good. Actually, I talked to the chairman last week and one of the other arts commissioners. For several months, I've been working with Daniel Foster to start a North County Arts Network. Daniel and I have been working on that since last May, and actually we have Supervisor Horn and Supervisor Roberts on board, and we had our meeting last week. That's where I ran into them. I did invite the deputy mayor, but next time I'll give him more than 24 hours notice before I say come along. But we're actually, one of our meetings, I think the one in summer is going to be at the Lux Art Institute. I think the next one's at in Escondido at the Center for the Arts, and then the Lux, and then the fall one's going to be at the Oceanside Museum of Art to form that North County Art Network. So I was pretty excited. We had the president or the chairman of the California Arts Commission. Yeah, so it talked about how art and the actual economic benefit of art throughout California. So I was pretty excited. What do you think? There was probably, what, 120 people there?
Easily, yeah. They filled the theater that it was held in, so yeah, it was.
So I'm pretty excited about what's happening in art in North County. I mean, the idea that, we have the Museum of Art to make it a regional art museum, the other networks, the ones in Escondido, Carlsbad, Vista. So I'm glad we're doing this. I think as we move forward, we'll see more of that art cooperative and inside the network. So anyway, I'm glad to support this. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, please.
Yes, there was something in all my excitement I wanted to mention, and that is that in the past we've also tried to do public art, public places, and I'd love to see a project discussed and maybe proposed by the Arts Commission, because we just, I think there was a vision of every year coming up or every other year coming up with a project like that, and we kind of stopped. I think we hit a budget issues, and so I would love to see something in the realm of, getting art into public places.
I think there's a lot of enthusiasm within the commission for that. And
fantastic.
So this approach to the money for this time was to build on what we had already been doing.
Yes.
And do something that we could turn around relatively quickly.
Yes.
And I know that we're very interested and will be talking about and exploring how we can foster public art projects in the city of Oceanside.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know of that interest.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll try this. Deputy Mayor.
Well, I am personally excited by the programs that are detailed here under these grants. And I was on the Arts Commission several years ago, and we had our budget completely pulled at that time, so it's very exciting for me personally to see that there's some money available. And I would hope that the people who are watching the program on TV, as well as those who are here tonight, take advantage of some of these. These are excellent free or no-cost projects free or low-cost projects you can enjoy. So it's a great outreach tool for the whole community. So thanks for putting this together.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank both of you. With that in mind, please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Mr. Clerk, do you have the opportunity? 7, please.
Yes, item number 7 is adoption of a resolution approving and implementing the Memorandum of Understanding between the City and the Oceanside Police Officers Association, effective January 21st, 2015 through December 31st, 2016.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council members, Deputy Mayor. I'm Pat Nunes, the Human Resources Director, and the item you have today before you is the Police Officers Association Memorandum of Understanding. We've negotiated with them over a period of 5 months and come to an agreement for a 2-year contract, which provides salary increases of 2.5% in January of this year, 1.5% January of next year, and 0.5% in July of 2016. There are also increases to their police officer standards training pay, which provides them with ongoing education and professionalism based on a statewide curriculum, and the increase for that is split over the 2 years. There were some non-economic issues that we also negotiated, including modification of their 10-hour shifts to include their meal breaks. Since they are in public and in uniform, they are on duty throughout their shift, so that was one that they asked for. And we're going to create a committee to evaluate their performance review system and the formats that are used. Their life insurance coverage was increased to equal that of all city employees, and they made some modifications to their transfer policy that were operational in nature. The fiscal impact associated with this in calendar 2015, salary increases are roughly $450,000. Their post-pay increases are about $100,000. PERS and other administrative costs are about $250,000 for roughly an $800,000 cost in year 1. Calendar year 2016, the salary increases are $325,000 approximately, with post-pay increases the other half at another $100,000. The PERS costs about $200,000 for a total of $633,000. And with that, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Have a seat. Sidebar. Public.
No public on this item.
Thank you, Bert. Back to the council. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City of Oceanside is certainly unique in many, many ways. And well, most of them I think of as very, very positive. We do have our challenges, and one of our challenges is ensuring the public safety of our citizens and ensuring that businesses feel so comfortable in Oceanside because the crime rate remains low, or we keep it as low, that they will come, they will flourish, they will not have these challenges that, say, if we did not have a competitive police department. So for me, the fact that Oceanside has the highest number of gangs in the county per capita, that we face the challenges that no other city faces in the county. It is really appropriate that we continue to ensure the public safety of our citizens, that we attract the best possible police officers. When I first came on the council, we had a lot of lawsuits. We had police officers coming and going. We were training them. They were, coming, and then they would leave to a different agency because we were not competitive, and we were losing a lot of money. We were basically it was just leaking all over the place because where we had to continue to train over and over again, we also were losing in terms of these lawsuits, millions of dollars. We have
taken many steps from where we were 14 years ago, and I'm very, very proud of this department. So this is hopefully what we're going to be doing for going forward for our employees who have not had a raise in many years, certainly because of the economic situation that we've had. But we are growing at the city, and our employees deserve to be part of that growth. So I'm happy to move approval of this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll second that, but I have a short comment. No, the light's on. I'm really concerned about one thing, because if you remember the last election, basically we released everybody in the state penitentiaries back onto the streets for just about every crime. That really concerned me from the Assembly Bill 109 that everybody in law enforcement, VA, didn't support, but it passed. And on the latest election, you imagine we're releasing everybody out of prison that has any kind of crime that's related to whatever. You can't put them back in prison. So they all can come back to the streets. So my support of this is really looking at the future, what I see coming for this area and region. With that, thank you all, and I'll call for the vote, please.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much. And let's see here. I think we have enough people here. No, it's not. 6 o'clock. Let's try to take item number 21, if we may. Excuse me. Yeah, last page.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Council, this is the adoption of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside adding Section 4.65 to Chapter 4, Article 1 of the Oceanside City Code to regulate the retail sale of dogs and cats. As you know, we've had a detailed public meeting on this at the last council meeting, and so I don't intend to repeat that, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, before I go forward on this item, I think it was very important that we took the item on. I think it's our job to be the voices for the animals and people, et cetera, on this issue. We went in the right direction. There was a lot of controversy over the exemption that we put in there. We brought it to the maker of the motion and the second. It still stood. My opinion, I'd like to remove that exemption again. I can do it before everybody speaks. I make my concern. I'd like to remove the exemption. I think that would make everybody happy, and we got plenty of email explaining why. I won't go into that, but anyhow, we'll see how it goes from there. That's my comment before we get started with that. And secondly, do we have public on this?
Yes, we do have public on this item.
Yes, before we go there, let me ask the city attorney if you're listening.
I just wanted to reiterate one point, and that is if there are any proposed changes to be made, we will have to reintroduce the ordinance.
I know.
So.
Yes, at this time we're going to go to the public. At this moment I'd like to ask Donna to come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Wood, Deputy Mayor, City Council members. The last couple of weeks, I've seen the truck come in. Last week, they dropped off 8 to 12 puppies at Oceanside Puppy. This week, it was about 6 to 8. If we do pass a city ordinance that it cannot get us puppies from the Hunt Corporation anymore, maybe we can somehow reduce the amount of puppies that he brings into Oceanside, because, it's really hard for me to listen to those puppies in the back of the truck cry, and it's really hard for me to see that truck come into Oceanside knowing it's going to come in. I can't emphasize enough, the first time I saw that truck, I was appalled at what I saw. I don't think it's fair for the puppies to be riding in a truck for 2 days. I don't think it's fair for them to have to live in horrible conditions, like behind glass cages, and not get the exercise they really need. And So I beg you, if this ordinance goes through, isn't there a way that we can reduce the amount of puppies that come in to Oceanside from the Hunt Corporation in Missouri? Thank you.
Next, we have Carmen C. Martino.
I've never spoken in public before, so you'll have to bear with me. All right. My name is Carmen Martino.
Excuse me, sir. Will you pull the mic down? We can't hear you. Thank you very much.
My name is Carmen Martino, and I live in Vista, and I'm a cat breeder. I have been breeding cats for the last 25 years. And I would like to see cats excluded from this municipal code. But I've attended 2 of the last 3 meetings, and I heard what was said, and I want to go over what I found out when I got home when I checked on everything. The first time I was here, someone said that when the soldiers leave, they leave their pets go feral. Well, that's not true at all, because I checked with the web and I checked with the organizations that were represented by the web. And the military has set up a federal program for these pets to be absorbed. And there's some other people who help with this. There's a place called PACT, P-A-C-T, and I've seen them on TV where after the soldiers come back, they give them their cats, their dogs, so they don't do cats. And another one was Pets for Patriots. They also take care of dogs, when dogs are feral, when they're left by the military. And there's another one called Operation Noble, which is very active right now. The other thing was that the pet stores take advantage of the soldiers with their use of their credit. Well, that's not true, because they're protected under 10 U.S. Code 987, which puts a limit on the amount of percentage of credit that the stores can charge, and it also makes it a misdemeanor to take advantage of the soldiers. And at the last meeting, they showed a puppy mill, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But at the same time, that puppy mill was being investigated by the Sheriff's Department, because the Sheriff's Department was there. I saw the guy in the background. We don't know where that was, none of the code, or what was the result of that. But just to show it, say it's a puppy mill, and know it's there, but not saying what occurred by the investigation is of no help. And in the first time I came here, they showed a photograph of a puppy that was in bad condition. But I was a photographer. I had a photo studio in West Los Angeles. That picture was photo enhanced and it was digital. They call it photoshopping, but without a real close examination, I can't say exactly how they did it. A lady was here last week, and she said that 25% of the animals in the shelters were pedigree cats. We're pedigrees, not cats, pedigrees. My wife and I checked with the shelter, and we could find no pedigree cats in any of the shelters. And that's one of the reasons why we want the cats excluded. And also, the pedigree cats are taken care of by the breeders. We have Siamese rescue, we have Tonkinese rescue, we have Persian rescue. We have all kinds of rescues. I'm sorry. Can I finish? May I finish?
How much longer are you in?
I just have one more thing to say about the 19,000 we mentioned last week. I got the exact count.
Well, you can have a little more time, sir, with your 3 minutes. You're up. Go ahead, sir.
All right, when I was here last time, someone mentioned it was 19,282 feral puppies and 11,293 feral kittens. Well, we went to that website, and it turns out that website makes Oceanside all the way up to San Bernardino County, to LA County, to Riverside County. It goes by either 100 miles or 500 miles. I don't know where she got her figures at. But when I looked at it today, they said there was 6,719 puppies and 11,293 kittens. Again, this is in a 100 or 500 mile area. I don't know, because they're not clear on the site. We also contacted the rescue groups in the area. They have no pedigree kittens. So this does not apply to cats. It shouldn't apply to cats at all. And the thing saying 3 or less litters per year for a kitten breeder, that that doesn't work because we breed for shows. We breed more than that. But our cats are all sold and placed, and not through pet stores, but through individuals we sold cats to in our last 25 years. We have never had a problem with a feral cat.
Sir, I'm going to have to interrupt you. Your time's up. Okay, I appreciate it. Have more information, send it to the city or email. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next we have Elizabeth Orrick.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council members, for the opportunity to speak again. My name is Elizabeth Orrick. I'm the National Manager of Puppy Mill Initiatives for Best Friends Animal Society, and we are still very much in support of a retail pet sales ordinance for Oceanside. However, like Mayor Wood, we are very concerned about the exemption that would permit pet stores to source from non-commercial breeders for the same reasons that I mentioned a few weeks ago. It would be virtually impossible to enforce because who is going to fly around the country counting the dogs in breeding facilities? It would create a loophole for disreputable breeders, unregulated breeders, to supply pet stores with no oversight. It would not have the intended effect of reducing the killing of adoptable pets in shelters. And responsible breeders do not sell to pet stores, which is a basic tenet that you can find in every reputable breeder's code of ethics, including all of the parent breed clubs on the American Kennel Club's website. What also concerns us is that if Oceanside passes a weaker version of what the other 18 California communities have enacted, then Oceanside is going to become attractive to pet stores that support irresponsible breeding because you'll have opened a door that neighboring cities have closed. And then you'll have an even bigger problem with poorly bred dogs and cats coming into the community, many of whom will be sick and end up in the shelter. And yet we do not want to see any pet stores close. We just want to see those pet stores implement a more humane and responsible business approach, which thousands of pet stores around the country have already successfully done. Adoption model pet stores are a prevailing trend in this country and are a viable business model that is a win-win for the pet stores, the community, the taxpayers, and of course the animals. So if you strike that exemption, you will have the fair, reasonable, and effective ordinance that 74 other North American communities have already enacted, which will be a very positive step for Oceanside. So I want to thank you again for considering this important reform. And since I'm still green, I just want to respond to what the gentleman said. I was the one who made that comment about the adoptable animals available through a pet finder. Those animals do not reside in Oceanside, but those animals are available to people in Oceanside who are looking for purebred puppies, kittens, dogs, cats, whatever they're looking for. You can live in Oceanside and adopt any of those animals from any of those facilities located on Pet Finder. So I hope that that was clear, because I certainly didn't want anyone to think that thousands of animals are running the streets of Oceanside. That's not the case. So thank you again, and if you have any other questions, I am happy to answer them.
Before you walk away, I don't know if everybody's going to speak on this or not, but if you want to have anybody that are here with you and your group to stand up for representation, you may.
Well, I don't have
several of them, I know that.
but I know there are many people here that are in support of the ordinance, and they're welcome to stand up.
They can if you want to stand up. I'll give us an idea. You may or may not speak. That's still your option, but thank you for being here. I appreciate it, and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Next we have Sydney Sickerell and Morgan Duloc.
Can I get the other one?
Good evening. I'm Sydney Sickerell from the Puppy Mill Project, and I'm going to be the wet blanket in the room tonight. I have a very sad story to tell. The truth is really sometimes pretty horrible, but it needs to be told. This statement that I'm about to give you is from Sasha Kripchuk, a former employee of the Fancy Puppy in Corona, David Salinas' newest puppy store. I worked for Mr. Salinas for just less than 1 month. These are my observations from December 15, 2014 until January 15, 2015. On December 15, 2014, I observed the Hunt Corporation semi arrived to deliver puppies. Please note in the deliveries, puppies were rejected. Some puppies were rejected and then placed back on the truck. It is a 1,600 100-mile trip back to Goodman, Missouri. One of the puppies was a boxer puppy that I came to call Hope. A day after Hope arrived, she was observed to have the sniffles. The store owner then told employees that Hope should be placed in room 3. Room 3 was the code name for the quarantine for sick dogs. It was called room 3 so that customers would not be concerned by the word quarantine. In room 3, there were an average of 12 dogs at any given time. The room is small, full of sick dogs and stacked crates. Dogs in the room were given medicines. Dogs were given medicines. The owner instructed the employees to use the cheat sheet to figure out the dosage of meds per the dog's weight. Dogs in room 3 were being treated with prescription drugs that were dispensed for other dogs that had not gone to the vet. Hope remained in room 3 for 3 weeks without going to a vet. During my time there, I observed Hope deteriorate to the point that she had difficulty standing and could not walk. She appeared seriously ill. She was not taken to the vet until January 5th, again 3 weeks after she became ill. After I was let go for inaccurately dispensing medicine, I was contacted on January 9th by a fellow employee who said, "Can you pick up Hope tonight at the vet as the owner says the dog is unsellable?" I picked Hope up that night to be relinquished to Ohana Rescue because of her critical condition. Ohana Rescue brought her back to the vet immediately, where she remained in the fight for her life until her last day, which was 1 week ago, Thursday, January 15th, when she was euthanized as her fight for survival had come to an end. Animal Control visited the store 2 weeks before the store opened and gave it a clean bill of health. On January 10th, I requested that they check on Hope, that Animal Control check on Hope. I was told they had checked on her and that all was well. Per a FOIA request by Sydney Sicarel, Animal Control never went to the store on January the 10th. The importance of this story is to illustrate 2 things. 1, animal laws are universally not enforced. I know from my experience in 2 states and 6 cities, they're simply not enforced. If the fancy puppy can get around laws, animal laws, it stands to reason they can most certainly get around this exemption. Please remember the story of Hope and remove this exemption. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Morgan Dulac. I'm the owner of Ohana Paws Rescue. The following statement was provided by Nikki Hana, a former employee of a fancy puppy. I worked at the pet store from November 24th until mid-December. While employed there, I observed the following. Unsterilized syringes used to administer oral medication to multiple sick puppies. Room 3, also known as the quarantine room, which was a small cramped room with numerous stacked crates and seemingly poor ventilation. Room 3 usually had around 12 puppies, and we were not allowed to leave the door open. I witnessed medications prescribed for one puppy being used for multiple other puppies. I also witnessed multiple bottles of medication with writing in Spanish. I witnessed 4 shipments of puppies during my employment. When the shipment of puppies arrived on a semi-truck, employees were instructed to inspect each puppy for missing hair, crusty nostrils, and mucus. If any of these puppies had any of these symptoms, they were rejected. I witnessed 5 to 6 puppies being rejected and placed right back on the semi-truck. I witnessed 4 to 5 dogs go to the vet during the month that I was employed, with an average of 10 to 12 dogs in quarantine, with approximately 60 puppies on average offered for sale in the store. You do the math. Please remember these employees for their courage to tell their stories, and Ohana Paws Rescue and the Puppy Mill Project for their compassion in trying to spread the word about hope. And most importantly, please remember the story of Hope as she exemplifies why we are here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further public on this item.
Thank you. Back to the council. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the puppy mill. The sale of puppy mill dogs is an atrocious act. That is what I believe. I don't think it's good for business. I don't think it's good for Oceanside. What I had requested and directed the city attorney was to come back to the council with a strong ordinance that would stand every single test in court so that we can act immediately. that we not be bogged down in courts for year after year and then have to redo what we're trying to do this evening. Mr. Mullen prepared a very thorough report. He reviewed all the cases, and this is something that is that citizens are trying to do all across the nation. There are certain things that we must be very, very mindful of, and that is that we have certain powers that are afforded to us as city council members, and certain powers that we don't have. So working within that power structure, I believe that the city attorney has presented to us a very defensible ordinance, an ordinance that is constitutionally, that can constitutionally mandate what we want to happen, and that is to stop the sale of puppy mill dogs in Oceanside. So I am going to move adoption. I understand that the mayor is asking that we drop the exemption, but I think that we are on much stronger ground in going forward with what we have been presented by the city attorney. As an attorney myself, you know, there are a lot of times that I've gone into court as a trial attorney and fought the good fight. I want something now, and I believe that this is going to get us what we want. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no lights on. Is there a second to that motion? Thank you. We have a motion and a second with that. Anybody else on the council or not? We'll go to a vote. Please vote.
Motion approved, 3-2. Kern Feller, no.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you mind, I would like to jump ahead to an item because I know the state of California is down here basically from Sacramento regarding mobile home park issues here and some potential litigation. So I know there's a meeting tonight with some of those people. With that in mind, I'm going to call up item 18 first, if I may.
Yes. Item 18 is a request by Mayor Wood to direct the city attorney to research laws governing management, approval of the sale of mobile home parks, mobile homes and rent control parks, and similar concerns, and report back to the city council with findings within 60 days.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for you and the audience and our home. This has been a hot issue within the city of Oceanside. We put items out that we have 16,000 signatures from the public, seniors and veterans didn't want this item to go forward on rent control. Since that particular time where we won, we kept our rent control. I get constant phone calls, personal conversation about people complaining about park owners harassing some other issues, including potential fiduciary abuse in some items regarding sales of the units and other things. With that in mind, I think it's fair that we send it back to be reviewed by our legal advisor, city attorney, and anybody else regarding these ongoing problems. Now, I know most people didn't show up here tonight to speak on this because of the state meeting that's going on right now out in the Valley and Oceanside. With that in mind, I'm going to say I'm going to put this as an item to you, get back to the city attorney to look into these. We are the people that monitor this and protect it. We've had some difficulty during the election years of enforcing some things. I'm very bothered about constant harassment of seniors within their own parks. On these issues, and including trying to sell their own units and having been turned down 4 or 5 times. And that's really telling the people they can't sell the units unless the park management approves it. With that, I'll go ahead and make that as a motion, and we'll get discussion later on, but I'll see if there's any public on this, please.
Yes, there are 2 members of the public wishing to speak on this item. At this time, Linda Walsh, and I come forward.
First off, thank you, Linda. I know you want to be at that state meeting too, but that's why I called this up early. Thank you.
This is too important for all of us, so I'm here instead of there. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you recall, by standing united, we defeated a property in 2-1 in 2012. I'm here tonight to ask that we stand united together again. Oceanside's manufactured home parks continue to face challenges through litigation, arbitration, and from within by employing methods such as failing to maintain the parks, employing hostile managers, refusing to accept rent payments, blocking and interfering with the sales of homes until residents are forced to sell to the park for pennies on the dollar. Homeowners' protections are being eroded and their equity stolen. For example, a two-bedroom 1970s home in one park may be listed at $30,000, while right around the corner in a park being properly maintained, a comparable home is selling for as much as $150,000. As Action's Vice President representing all of Oceanside's manufactured home communities and on behalf of Omaha, we are here to ask for your support of the Mayor's request for inquiries into these issues. There currently exist loopholes that park owners can use to the detriment of homeowners. For example, Oceanside's zoning conversion ordinance currently states that in the event a homeowner has declared their intent to move prior to the park owner filing for conversion, the homeowner has forfeited their right to relocation. However, if that homeowner is only trying to move because of hostile managers and other tactics being used against them, it is unfair that a homeowner be penalized for trying to get out of an intolerable situation. Additionally, the ordinance states if a park owner claims it would create a financial hardship for the park to relocate homeowners, the council majority has the authority to reduce or waive that requirement. Hardly a level playing field if the park owner in question is the large campaign contributor to council majority members. Many park owners own numerous parks nationwide, in addition to many other business interests. What is to prevent a park owner from moving assets into another corporation, leaving the entity owning the park with little or no assets to pay for relocation? Lead counsel for California for park owners, attorney Mark Alpert, has now relocated his law practice here to North County. He represents park owners at Cavalier, Miramar, Mission View Manor, Mission View West, previously at Terrace Gardens, and has now partnered with the Guzman firm to represent the owner of Rancho Calavero. Mr. Alpert has publicly stated, we target cities with rent control, deliberately make litigation extensive, filing motion after motion until cities are forced to stop defending the ordinance. We litigate against homeowners who cannot afford to defend, and that's how we prevail. He has demonstrated these tactics here in Oceanside. In other California cases, park owners argue that as they acquire each park rental home, that space is no longer covered under rent control and is therefore converted. Oceanside made a promise to our seniors, veterans, disabled, and low-income families by passing 16B in 1982. These 6,000 residents, 700 plus who are veterans, relied on those protections afforded them by Oceanside law when purchasing their homes. We owe it to these homeowners to tighten their protections in the face of new challenges and impose penalties on park owners doing business in the city who attempt to circumvent our laws. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Francis T. Crowley.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Francis T. Crowley. I live at 220 North El Camino Real in the El Camino 76 Mobile Home Park. As a representative of the Oceanside Manufactured Homeowners Alliance and president of the local residents association within the park I live, I want to encourage the city attorney to open a dialogue with the various manufactured homeowner resident organizations. There are several areas of concern to the approximate 6,000 residents within the city. The rent control ordinance and the park conversion ordinance are vague and misleading in several areas. As the city well knows, the conversion ordinance is open for contest within the courts and should be reviewed to find ways to tighten the ordinance to both protect residents and park owners. It is no secret to all sides involved that there are unscrupulous attorneys who will take advantage of the city, the ordinance, and park owners and residents in their attempt to propagate litigation lining their own pockets and bankrupting the rest of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further public on this item.
Thank you very much. Coming back to the council, please. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. I'm not sure what the motion is, but a word like similar concerns, I don't know what that means. I mean, are we guessing what you're...
Well, I didn't want to make a long paragraph of all the complaints I've received. I figured the city attorney will look into those issues they'll know what they are and present it back to us within, what did we say here, 60 days?
Well, I think you probably should give him some idea of what similar concerns means, or...
Well, I think when he gets contact with these different groups, they'll give it to him in writing, and it'll have all that information, instead of me having a paragraph of information as an item for the agenda. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to vote on this until I see what we're actually looking at.
Thank you. I'm sure you would vote anyhow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Councilman Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also have heard some stories about the really bad situation in the mobile home parks. There are some mobile home parks that don't seem to have these kind of problems, but some that do. And I know that the mobile residency laws, which state laws, govern in certain parts where the state governs, the city cannot act because the state has reserved for itself those powers. The city does have certain laws it can enact, and certainly the rent control ordinance is something that is definitely reserved to cities, and we have historically not only adopted that, but protected that and defended it as a council. And when not by the council, by the residents themselves. So it does make me very sad that some of these practices are occurring. I will go ahead and second the motion, which is basically to direct the city attorney to report back to us on what we can as a city do to address some of these situations. So I feel that the city attorney will be able to do that and be able to tell us what we can and what we can't do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. I guess this is a request that the city attorney can go beyond the 4-hour time limit that we put on staff. And actually, as I'm reading it, the city attorney is to research the laws governing the management, approval of sales of mobile home parks. So that's his purview. Is that your understanding what we're asking you to do, Mr. City Attorney?
I think what I'm hearing is you want me to go out and hear what the specific problems are. The only thing that I've heard is sort of secondhand in terms of owners somehow interfering with the sale of the coaches. I haven't heard any specific examples of that, but maybe it would be best if I go out and talk to the resident groups, see what kind of problems they're having. And it may be that we can't remedy those problems because we may be preempted under the MRL from addressing it, that there may be areas where other cities have addressed these issues that we could propose solutions. So that's how I'm interpreting the direction.
Okay. So yeah, I have no problem with that, the idea to let the city attorney do the job that the city attorney does, and then actually concentrate more than 4 hours in this one item. I think Councilmember Sanchez alluded to it. There are some laws that supersede our laws because they're state laws. And so how that works, I have no problem having to do the law. I mean, the idea, I just don't want to write new law. I mean, we just kind of look at the laws that govern management. So that's my concern.
Right. I don't think I can really get a sense of what the problems are without going out and talking to some of the residents groups to see firsthand what it is they're experiencing before we know if there's any city solution. So I would think that that's part of this, is to have me go speak to some of the groups, and especially the ones that are experiencing the problems, and then report back to you what, if any, remedies there are that the city may or may not be able to develop.
Yeah, because I would think that the laws are pretty narrowly defined, but I'll let the city attorney make that determination. So, no, I'm not opposed to having to do the research. I think we all should do the research, and then we can have the information at hand. Then we can make our decision based on the city attorney's research. I'm never afraid to find out the information. It's what we do with the information. Sometimes I have issues with, but the idea, I don't think we should ever be afraid of finding out what's going on. So I think I will support this.
Thank you. Before I go to this call, what I told you, the state's down here right now looking for this stuff. that might involve the Attorney General of California to address these issues, and I hope that's the case. But for right now, it's our ordinance. I think we look at the complaints and look what they are and what we can do. With that, Deputy Mayor, please.
I've heard for 3 years from people who live in some of the mobile home parks that their owners, the landowners, won't allow them to sell their homes. And it's very frustrating for someone to have so much money invested in a house and not be able to sell it for some arbitrary reason. I looked up what the mobile home residency laws are in the state of California, and there are specific items here that state what the property owner, the park owner, can or cannot do to prevent a sale. And if the person who wants to buy the home is qualified to pay for it, the management can't arbitrarily stop them. So the laws are apparently already in place, and I just want to ask the city attorney if he's confident that he can come up with something basic to tell us that we can move forward on this item.
Well, again, I think I need to hear specifics about exactly what the problems are before I propose any solution. So I've been hearing it secondhand through the mayor. I think it would be wise for me to go out and see specifically. There are some ordinances that other agencies have done or adopted that deal with this issue. But again, I think it's probably important for me to find out specifically what the narrow problems are before I propose solutions.
Thank you.
Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. So can I hear what the motion is? Because Councilmember Sanchez reworded what you said. So
The same one that's printed right here on the agenda.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would prefer to have have this done as the concerns that the residents in the mobile home parks have over the management of the park. Something like that. I mean, you're defining one issue and then just saying, go look at the rest. And, if it's a global request, then I can support it. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's in here in black and white. We've explained it. The public's explained it. Let's vote on it. If you don't want to support it, that's your choice. Thank you very much. With that, thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock. We're going to take about a 5-minute or so break, if you don't mind, for the second half of the council meeting. If you haven't been here before, out the doors, up the stairs, restrooms, and water, if you please. About 5 minutes plus for a break. We'll get back here. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just now here, welcome, good night, and we're going to move on here. We did our first part of the agenda, and this is kind of where we stop and say invocation, pledge of allegiance, and some presentations. I appreciate your hospitality on this because sometimes it takes a little while, but it's our ability as a council to thank people from Oceanside or special groups, and I'm very proud of this night and what's going to be going on. So if you would, my Ed's going to give you some instructions. If you have a cell phone, turn it off or put it on vibrate. But remember, when we get into these presentations and you parents want to take pictures, move wherever you want to do, take your pictures, etc. Number one. Number two, keep in mind it's live on KOCT. It'll play again in case you want to tape it yourself, or you can go down to KOCT and buy a copy of the tape for the in-laws, the family, grandparents, and all that. And ladies and gentlemen, one of the things tonight I'm so proud of, and the rest of the council, we're smiling, is one of our teams here in Oceanside at the champions of the state of California, let's say, and I'm not sure who they are, but we'll find out later on, okay? And with that, Debbie, would you please?
Please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Tonight's invocation will be delivered by City Clerk Zach Beck, who is also the youth pastor for Gateway Community Church.
Would you please join in bowing your heads? Father, we come before you to simply say thank you. Thank you for the privilege, the blessing, the honor it is to reside in the city of Oceanside. We come together as a diverse community of different backgrounds, different beliefs, different presents, different futures, yet one common goal, and that is the betterment of this community. We come together this evening to seek your guidance, wisdom, discernment over the deliberations pertaining to the city matters, and we lift up our council members at this time. We lift up Councilmember Feller, Councilmember Kern, Councilmember Sanchez, Deputy Mayor Lowry, and Mayor Wood. Would you give them peace and guidance during their deliberations this evening? And would you continue to provide your blessings upon the entirety of the families and individuals who reside in this beautiful community of Oceanside as we press forward to the common goal of bettering this entire community? We say all these things in your precious name. Amen.
Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by OPD Explorers Arlette Mendez and Gavin Kenny.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated, thank you.
Take a picture here, Debbie. You got the one earlier on. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next we have the Mayor's Business Member Spotlight with David Nidegger, President and CEO of Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. Please come forward, along with Business Member of the Month Mike Ellis, owner of Minute Digital Media, and his wife Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor. Traditionally, the chairman of my board of directors is here. Oops, my notes. The chairman of the board of directors here, Jan, couldn't make it, and also Cece Haas is the chair of our membership services committee. So unfortunately, you're stuck with me. As the mayor very said, I've been with the chamber now for 18 years, and so about 2 years or so ago, we approached the mayor, and he was very, very generous and willing to allow us to come down here and recognize the members of the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce and on a monthly basis. And so tonight, I'm very pleased to introduce Mike Ellis. Mike is the president of a small business here in Oceanside. It is the Minute Digital Media. Mike has a very extensive background in air traffic control, I guess FAA, right? So he was at the Top Gun school down in San Diego, and also worked for the FAA. He did a lot of work for major corporations in developing media plans, media packages for them. Then he's branched out and started his own company, and that's basically why we're here tonight, because It's Bennett Digital Media, and what Mike does for our members is here. That's why we're recognizing you tonight, sir. Thank you very, very much. He will do brief videos at Corona for our members, and we then include them in our Facebook and pages on the website for the Chamber of Commerce, and it's a great opportunity for our members to once again reach out to the community, and Mike's the guy behind the camera on that one. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks, David.
You're welcome.
Am I supposed to say something?
Where do you want to?
No? That's right. This is the leader of the group, Kathy.
Go straight to the boss.
I'm very proud of my husband. He does beautiful work, and he really is the behind-the-scenes person that makes us both our businesses look great. So thank you. I'm very proud of you.
Oh, we are too.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Dave.
Certainly. Come on down. And while we're waiting for that, I was waiting for Kathy to push the Soroptimist salad luncheon, which is coming up, because I think most of us on the diet up here are going to be working salad for the Soroptimist.
Can I say something about
I open the door.
Well, I would like to invite all of you to the 35th annual salad luncheon that we're going to be having right here and down by the pier. Nothing like being down at the Junior Seattle Community Center. Over 400 people will be there. It's between 11:30 and 1:30, and with the over $30,000 that we made with our various events last year, the Soroptimist of Oceanside, Carlsbad, we have over 70 members. We help military families and scholarships for young women and girls for the betterment of Oceanside, Carlsbad, and their lives too. So please join us on February 25th for the 35th annual salad luncheon for Soroptimist. Thank you. That was it.
I'm glad you just had a few words, Mike.
Yeah.
Mayor, thanks again. Matt, the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for
Thank you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Give you this theme in a second.
At this time, I'd like to call forward the following individuals for the presentation of the Mayor's Youth Sports Recognition and Appreciation Award. John Carroll, coach of the 2014 undefeated Oceanside High School Pilot football team. Team players, David Miller, Davino Taylor,
Work your way around this thing.
Johnny Ozona, Matthew Romero, Anthony Martinez, Mark Hernandez, Kenneth Coleman, J.B. Hunter, Taj Apodaca, and Rick Zimmerman.
First off, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, I'm going to call up the entire council up here to be proud of this team. Maybe they can line up behind you guys. Council, city attorney, city manager, appreciate it. A couple of reasons I wanted them up here. Like we do at all these sports awards, these members of Oceanside High School represent the city of Oceanside locally, state, sometimes nationally. And we're very proud of them. As you can see, the whole team isn't here. Each person has their own ability to come and go. We want some of them here and along with the coach. This is pretty amazing. I'm going to give the mic to the coach to talk here in this section, but they represent us, have our name, and they've done wonderful things. And as you can probably see, when I went to Oceanside High and Esther went to Oceanside High, you can see they're a little bigger than when I went there, and this is a huge team, and I'm so proud of them. Debbie? Sure, go ahead and read it.
Thank you.
Guys, you're looking good on TV. I'm sorry, Chuck. Chuck graduated. I'm sorry, Chuck, I forgot. But yes, 3 of us went to Oceanside High. Very proud of it. But Chuck, you're right. You graduated. I got the GED later on.
Okay, I'd like to read something briefly here. During the 2014 regular football season, the Oceanside High School Pirates were winners of the 2014 Honor Bowl, the City Championship, and the Avocado West League Championship, finishing with an undefeated 10-0 record. The Pirates then entered the Open Division playoffs and proceeded to excel by winning the school's record 21st consecutive trip to the semifinals, eventually winning the CIF San Diego Championship for a county record 13th time in school history. And it didn't stop there. The Pirates went on to win the Southern California Division Championship with a perfect 13-0 record. Tonight, we salute the #1 football team in San Diego and all of Southern California, the Oceanside High School Pirates.
Debbie, I know we're getting some pictures, et cetera, here, but let's take a couple of shots after we do the next item, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, I appreciate it. Guys, you're looking good. Remember, for TV, hold your ear for the girlfriends.
Okay, we also have a certificate of recognition honoring Coach John Carroll. On behalf of the City of Oceanside, I, Mayor Jim Wood, wish to congratulate you for your incredible accomplishments as coach of the Oceanside High School varsity football team for the past 26 years. 248 victories, 2 state titles, a record 13 CIF titles, and 21 straight semifinal playoffs are a testament to the dedication and passion you embodied while making a difference in the lives of every player that stepped onto the football field. We salute you for your leadership and commitment to guiding our community's most valuable asset, our youth. Thank you for making a difference. Issued this 21st day of January, 2015.
The team gets recognition, let's face it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard the record of this coach. Outstanding. People would die to have this kind of a record on the football team. And look what he had behind him. Wonderful, wonderful sports team as his mayor and representative in city council. We're so proud of you. Words can't explain it, but the plaque might have a little help saying that. If you'd like to say a few words, Coach, about the team and yourself.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, City Council, and thank you, ex-Pirates, for the shout-outs, and these young men bear the city's name, and they don't take it lightly. They know what the expectations are as members of the great community of Oceanside, bearing the name Oceanside High School and the great traditions of excellence over the years. They took on that role and that responsibility proudly, with intensity, effort, determination, desire, and wound up following through with excellence. Their season marked what I have to say, I told them at the end of the season, marked one of the most incredible campaigns of character, effort, true grit that I've ever seen. This group of young men, and many of them, most of them are unable to be here tonight because they're participating in other sports. This group of young men refused to lose. And as they did so, and they had this incredible season of success, they did it with class, character, and integrity. They are literally living examples of the best that Oceanside has to offer. And I am incredibly proud of these young men, and proud to be their coach, and proud to have served in this most wonderful of communities, Oceanside. Thank you.
I know it's tough, but
We'd like to see the council, somebody that they can read and bring us in a little closer. Somebody that they can read, I can see the background. Questions you might want to still say. Come on. Could I get the city treasurer and the city clerk up here, please? Thank you very much. We can keep you standing. Anyhow, the city clerk and Esther, are you there? Okay, make sure somebody can see you. City treasurer's here also. And let's get the ladies, mothers, and dads. You can move whatever you want. Take pictures.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. And time. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the acceptance of this wonderful pilot. Thank you, guys. God bless you. In the future, we'll remember you. Thank you. God bless you, man. Have a good one. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry for the delay, but it's really a great thing to recognize people who've gone way and above in Oceanside. We get a lot of that, I'm sure. But we'll get moving here in a few minutes, give them time to move out, and we'll start up, okay?
Mr. Mayor, could we do item number 14? I see Kathy's here.
14?
Yes.
Yes, we will, and she's always first on the list. And Mr. Clerk, item 14 in public communications.
At this time, Kathy Michael may come forward.
Okay.
So I have a couple small ones and a couple big ones. Honorable Mayor, council members, city staff, attendees, and viewing public, my name is Kathy Michael. I'm from Main Street, Oceanside, the Downtown Business Association. And I also oversee the Sunset Market and the Oceanside Independence Day Parade. Thursday is Market Day in Oceanside. Our traditional farmers market is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Fairview Way, adjacent to City Hall. Lots of great fruit, vegetables, flowers, a little bit of retail, lots of hot food, and great things for breakfast and lunch. And then, of course, we have the Sunset Market, which is no longer a certified farmers market. That started January 1st. So we do have several events that are coming up concerning the actual market. We started a new event. Our first semi-annual Authors Night will be held January 29th. We are holding it in conjunction with Oceanside Public Library's Health, which will also be there that night to influence all of our attendees on how they can use our public library. And we have over a dozen authors coming that evening. It will be from 5 to 8 on January 29th, and we'll hold another one on October 5th. Then our next event, oh, that was a big one. Sorry, we need this one actually, Public Safety Night, that was good. Sorry, a little discombobulated. Our next event will be the following Thursday on February 5th. We have our annual Public Safety Night. And this is a great way to meet your community's safety team with police, fire, and lifeguards attending. They actually bring equipment and vehicles that evening so you're able to look at, climb in,
And also, we have several different groups that come to help you find out how you can be safe at home, at work, and while you're at play, and how you can become part of the safety team. Okay, that's that. It should be public safety night. Should be. Oh no, that's right. Sorry. Art Walk. We are holding Art Walk every first Friday of the month. This is actually a partnership with 19 different businesses to have art throughout the downtown Oceanside. We have live music, artwork. It's inside several different businesses, but there are almost 19 businesses. There is a website specifically for that one, but we also have a link on ours, oceansideartwalk.org. And then throughout February, we partner with Oceanside Photo and Telescope to have astronomy nights in the market as long as weather permits. They come and they bring down a big telescope and you're able to look at the night sky, find out how to use the telescope, and they do that every Thursday night in February as long as the weather permits. And then I have one announcement, and of course I didn't look at the agenda before I came, otherwise I would have known, but it's a great announcement because they just left. Oceanside Independence Day Parade will be held on January 27th, and our Grand Marshal for this year will be Coach John Carroll.
I mean June,
So,
June 27th.
June 22nd. Sorry, I'm a little bit ahead of myself. June 27th, always held the Saturday prior to the 4th of July. Our theme will be Legends and Legacies, and we will have applications available next month. We will be doing a mailing to our prior participants. And of course, all the information is on our website at mainstreetoceanside.com, or you can visit us. We have email newsletter. We have monthly public meetings on the first Tuesday of the month from 8:30 to 9:30. So come down to the downtown. We have a lot of stuff going on. Hope to see you downtown. Thank you.
No public on item number 15.
No other public? Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, when you get the time or the time to do it, could you go to item 16, please?
Yes, item number 16 is council member call for review, adoption of a resolution upholding Planning Commission Resolution number 2014-P29, adopting a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and Planning Commission Resolution number 2014-P30, approving tentative track map T13-00008, development plan C13-0004, regular coastal permit RC13-00003, and conditional use permit CUP 13-00009 to permit the development of 38 condominium townhomes at the northeast corner of Morse Street and South Coast Highway. Applicant, the Lightfoot Planning Group for Shop-Off Advisors, LP.
Thank you very much, Amy. I wish you would bring some material with you for you to get the information. We should have gave you a rolling cart. As usual, with that, I'm going to open this public hearing, request disclosures from our council members. Start with you, Jack.
Had staff meeting with the community on site, as well as the applicant.
I met with residents, and I met with the applicant, and I met with staff, and I started over again. I met with residents, I met with the applicant, and I met with staff.
Thank you. Staff went out and saw the site and what's going on. Some email communications from the public and some personal contacts from the public.
I am very familiar with the site. I've met with the applicant. I've met with the residents and neighbors. I met with the neighbors actually twice, and I also have gotten some emails. And I've also spoken with staff.
I met with basically everybody else, the public, the applicant, staff. So we talked to a lot of people about this particular project.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, petitions or correspondence?
We received correspondence from Alan Matkins and Eric Fries. You can distribute those to council.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to testimony from Amy. Good evening, Amy.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. The project before you this evening is a call for review for the Moore Street Townhomes. It involves a tentative map, a development plan, a conditional use permit, and a coastal development permit. The applicant is proposing to develop 38 condominium townhomes on a vacant site that's approximately 2.3 acres. It's located at the northeast corner of Moore Street and Coast Highway. The site is terraced, and there's a grade differential between 5 and 20 feet as it exists today. And it's abutting a mobile home park to the north and various land uses on the other three sides. The Planning Commission considered the application on November 3rd, and it was approved unanimously on a 6-0-1 vote. The call for review was submitted on November 13th. The site is located within the coastal zone. It's within a non-appealable area, however. The general plan is high-density residential. It allows up to 43 dwelling units per acre, which translates on this particular site for up to 98 dwelling units per acre. The zoning is also medium-density residential, consistent with the general plan, and allows for 43 dwelling units per acre. The slide on the photograph on the left corner, on the lower left corner, shows the existing conditions on the site. It's vacant. It's located just to the west of a three-story multiple-family residential project. Puma's Market is located also adjacent to it, just to the east. The map on the right-hand side shows existing zoning designations. The site is identified, highlighted in green. It's R3. It's surrounded by residential and commercial uses. The photographs on the screen depict the land uses immediately adjacent to it. There's a variety of residential and commercial uses in terms of density and intensity that surround the site. As I mentioned, high-density residential just to the east and commercial. Auto-oriented uses across the street on Moore Street, and a variety of commercial uses along Coast Highway, including a beauty school and a motel. The proposed development for the 38 townhome condominiums would involve development of 10 buildings in 3 and 4 unit configurations. There's 4 different plans that are being proposed. Landscaping on the site will cover more than 40% of the site, and parking will need required parking for each one of the units at 2 parking spaces per unit. That would be garaged for each one of the units. 7 additional parking spaces are proposed on site that could be used for guest parking. The exhibits on the screen show a typical configuration for the 4-unit building. It shows all 4 of the floor plans that are being proposed. Unit 1, 2, and 3 proposed 3-bedroom units. Unit 4 also has 3 bedrooms. In addition, it has an office space that could potentially be used as a bedroom. In the lower portion of the screen, it shows the exterior elevations. It is a 3-story structure. It provides considerable articulation. Windows and other fenestration define the building. And there's both vertical and horizontal modulation of the proposed mass, which is going to be an enhancement of the architectural style. The call for review issues, the grounds for the call for review can be summarized as follows. There are 5 issues. The mitigated net deck adequacy, analyzing and addressing significant impacts related to parking and circulation height grading. The appropriateness of granting the request for conditional use permit that pertains to the development of a project with more than 20 units.
The proposed buffer between the residential project and Primo's Market, the proposed density and height impacts to community character, and last one, the project's consistency or lack thereof with the neighborhood character. We'll address each one of those briefly. The mitigating neck deck addresses aesthetics as part of section 15.1. The proposed project will alter the existing aesthetic character. However, the analysis that has been done for the project did not find that modification to be inconsistent with the existing development in the surrounding area, and therefore impacts were found to be less than significant. Land use and planning were analyzed in section 1510. No land use and planning impacts were identified. The project was found to be consistent in terms of zoning and land use with the general plan, local coastal plan, and zoning. And it was determined that the character of the community will be enhanced by well-articulated buildings, landscaping, and the overall design. The project will provide, as I mentioned, 76 parking spaces and 7 parking spaces in excess of what is required. The applicant, considering some of the suggestions and recommendations that were made during the public hearing at the Planning Commission and subsequently has offered to amend the site plan and incorporate a new 3 parking spaces without altering the overall design significantly. The location of the parking spaces are shown on the exhibit on the screen in the darker gray color. 2 parking spaces could be added at this location, and additional parking space could be added here. A 4th parking space could potentially be added within a detention basin that's included as part of the adjacent to the open space, common open space for the project. However, if a 4th parking space was to be added, then the stormwater plan would have to also be amended or updated. With those 3 additional parking spaces, the project will also meet not only the 86 zoning ordinance parking requirements, but it will meet and exceed the 1992 zoning ordinance requirements, which are applicable citywide outside the coastal zone. In terms of buffer and character, the proposed project will provide adequate building and setbacks, building setbacks and landscaping. The proposed buildings that are located along the easterly portion of the site adjacent to Primo's Market will be minimum of 80 feet away from that structure. The use itself will be a transitional land use between commercial and multiple family existing residential uses. It will be less intense, and it will implement more restrictive development standards than those that may have been proposed if the site was zoned for commercial uses, which is not zoned for commercial uses, it is zoned for residential uses. The 3-story buildings are consistent with the existing residential projects to the east of the site. In terms of circulation, section 15.16 of the mitigated net deck analyzed the impacts of the project at the intersection of Morse and Coast Highway, as well as segments in the immediate area, and it was determined that levels of service C would be maintained in those areas. The internal circulation system was evaluated as part of the project analysis as well, and it meets our city staff's transportation and fire access requirements. The applicant has also conducted a parking analysis in the immediate area, and that analysis has been forwarded to you as part of the packet that you have received. The parking study on the adjacent streets indicates that adequate supply of parking will be available.
The site would be graded. Approximately 11,000 cubic yards of dirt will be exported from the site. That would lower the existing grade by approximately 4 to 5 feet. That should help alleviate, in part, some of the impacts from the height that are being proposed with 3-story buildings, and will also correct an unstable hillside which exists adjacent to Coast Highway at this point. The 1-to-1 slope along the street frontage on Coast Highway will be replaced by a 2-to-1 slope. And the retaining wall that varies in height between 2 and 6 feet at its highest point will also be constructed. The type of retaining wall cells that are proposed by the applicant are shown on the photograph on the right-hand side. Staff finds that the proposed project will be consistent with applicable land use regulations and standards, and we're recommending that the City Council adopt the resolutions upholding the Planning Commission Resolution 2014 P29 and 2014 P30, adopting the mitigated negative declaration, mitigation monitoring program, and approving the tentative map, development plan, conditional use permit, and coastal permit for the project. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
I appreciate that very much. Mr. Clerk, please.
This is a public hearing item. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward to address the council for 3 minutes at this time. Oh, I am so terribly sorry. The applicant may go forward at this time. My apologies.
We're trying to keep you out.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, city staff, members of the public. My name is Brian Rupp. I'm a Shop-Off Realty Investments, and we're glad to be here tonight. This is a culmination of many years of effort, and we had a much different project when we started out. And part of our job is to work with staff and to retool, redesign, reformulate, and craft a project that's fitting for the site, fitting for the city, fitting for the surroundings. And we work closely with staff for the past year and a half, and I think we've achieved that. At the Planning Commission hearing in November, the Planning Commissioners had a number of remarks about the project design. They complimented our architects on the design of the architecture in the buildings. The landscaping is aesthetically pleasing. We've incorporated the plantable walls as Amy's done here, and we're very proud of this project, and we're looking forward to it being a part of Oceanside. I think Amy did a great job summing up the issues. I believe we've addressed the issues that were raised in the Planning Commission hearing, subsequently in emails, and we've done what we believe is a good effort to come to a resolution by incorporating additional parking spaces that actually exceed the 92 zoning ordinance. So we're certainly willing to add the additional parking spaces as Amy has suggested. We're committed to that, and we believe firmly that we've got adequate on-street parking, both internally in the project for our guests. And the parking study that we did, we hired an engineer to do a parking study who looked at the area and that local parking, and they analyzed the parking over the weekend, during the work week, and they found that the maximum use of the on-street parking space is actually in about 50% at the peak. So we believe we have adequate parking. We've addressed that. We're certainly willing to add the 3 additional spaces. The 4th space, as Amy mentioned, can be added, and we're certainly willing to do that if the council desires. That does get into our water quality area, which is a vegetated area, and it's part of the aesthetic landscape, part of the visual scenery for the internal project. So if that's being necessary, we're certainly willing to do it, but if it's something that the council does not see as necessary, we'd be happy with that as well. So we're here with our team. We're here to answer any questions you may have. I, again, thank you for taking this under consideration.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And
At this time, any members of the public wishing to speak may come forward and address the council for 3 minutes.
Mayor, Council, Junior Knott, 127 Cherry Lane, also the Los Salinas Mobile Village homeowners representative. We're the immediate community right down the slope from this project. And tonight I am authorized by the management and park owner of the property to speak on their behalf as well. And to say we in total endorse this quality project. 6 months ago, after seeing the development sign, homeowners, the park owner, manager at Los Salinas Mobile Village, contacted city staff and obtained material for the development of the Morse Street townhomes. And we had numerous issues, concerns, problems, misunderstandings. And staff facilitated a private meeting with the management and homeowners rep and the developer to cover the concerns. But out of that became more concerns and issues like fugitive dust, noise, construction issues. So a general park meeting was held, and the developer with the park owner, taking with the manager, and basically in the group with the homeowners, came together. And every question that we had was answered thoroughly. Arrangements were made for a direct connection line between all parties. Assurances were given to have any issue like the dust, noise, addressed upon communication with their crew. We had issues like the potential drainage issues. As we examined the plans, and the developer showed and promised that no drainage would come onto our property, and if they did by error, it would be immediately addressed. We even discussed a matter of inches on this. The scope of the project was reviewed by the homeowners, management, and park owner. A straw poll was taken by those in attendance, and the park owner, after his review of the project, and all 100 people that had an opportunity to be there, was taken, and the support was unanimous. They support this quality project that will improve the South Oceanside community from what it is now and what has been there for years. The developer has said they intend to be part of the community and make sure that the HOA is responsible and will work and take concerns of their neighbors into consideration and even write this into the bylaws. This development is contiguous and would match the building heights of the other apartment groups in that area. And I thank you for this moment.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward at this time.
Mayor and council people, my name is Colleen Balch. I live at the 1400 block of Machado Street, and I'm on the flip side of that. There's been many things about this project. There was no adequate notification to the neighborhood. 300 feet doesn't get to the actual property owners that live in the single-family dwelling homes that surround this project. The parking is not adequate. 83 proposed spaces, and even with a few added. With 3 and 4 bedroom units, you're looking at least 3 cars per unit with the possibility of a rental person with you or your children having cars. The traffic will be greatly increased on both Morris and California Street. The only way to get to I-5 North is California Street, of which it has no contiguous sidewalks for either California or Morris. California 800 block, neither side have sidewalks, and Morris has no sidewalks at all, which leaves children and parents walking in the street with these additional cars. The elevation plans that were shown here tonight aren't true to form. They almost show the street flat. It's not going to be flat, so they should have used story poles to show us exactly how tall the development would be. Maybe they'd have more support, but for right now, without knowing exactly what that's going to look like, they don't. It doesn't conform to the Coast Highway Vision Plan, nor is it part of the avenue designation, not at a node where it is planned for higher density. It's also been stated by staff that this project meets the code. It only meets the code with the conditional use permit approved. Without that conditional use permit, they cannot build 38 units. Therefore, the entire project should at least be relooked at, or at least given a little bit of time for some more evaluation. Please vote to preserve South O as a vital and thriving neighborhood. We have many good things happening on the Coast Highway in South Oceanside, but this project isn't in our vision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Mary Dreibelbis, and I live in the 1200 block of Laguna Street in South Oceanside. I was actually very fortunate to be raised in that neighborhood. My parents were original owners 60 plus years ago, and like a lot of other second generation South O residents, my husband and I decided to move back to that area. We've been in our home for 28 years. We've seen a lot of change, some good, some bad. We're certainly not opposed to development. We want to see South Oceanside and Oceanside as a whole thrive. I also worked for a neighboring city for 25 years, so I really do appreciate the staff's effort and tying all of our issues and concerns to codes and policies that are in place. I think the element that gets missed is the quality of life. And it's very hard to put a code or a policy or number on those types of issues. An example of this is when the Hightower Manor Apartments, which is on the beginning of California Street, I'm sure that met all of the codes and policies at that point too. When those were built, we almost immediately saw an increase in crime, major parking issues that are still there, and transient residents, and long-term residents that moved out of the area. So those types of things, I think, aren't addressed when you're looking at projects like this. The three-story thing personally bothers me because I don't like to see a lot of that big development going on in that area. The other part is that when you do turn left onto Morse from Coast Highway, there's only one entrance and exit from this townhome area. I can't imagine the congestion that might happen. I also appreciate that the developer took on a parking study on their own, but in there they said that street parking seemed to be adequate. For those of you that try to jockey into Primos, I don't see that personally. Unfortunately, since Hightower Manors, California Street is now the thoroughfare into El Camino, so all of those residents are impacted, another quality of life issue. And I think as city leaders, you have the opportunity to step back, to look at those issues, and I'm hopeful that you take a little more time and don't pass the resolution. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, my name is Pam Chambers, 1922 South Freeman Street. I too live in the South Oceanside neighborhood, and I don't think this fits in with the quality of life in South O. We have a lot of things going on. The size is too big, the height, the parking is not what they say. It looks like they went to a lot of problems to try to please the neighborhood, but I didn't get noticed. I wasn't asked my opinion. And I would have liked to have given my opinion about this through the mail. So I would say no on this project until it's reviewed further. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thanks for having this hearing. My name is Dan McSwain. I live at 920 Morse Street, which is
about 2.5 blocks away from this project. With respect to my neighbors in the mobile home park, almost nobody in our neighborhood knew about this project. I really wish the staff and the developer had fully noticed the other residents and had taken the opportunity to meet with more neighbors. There is a bad parking. Well, let me preface by saying I am pro-development. If we want our kids to be able to live in Oceanside, we have to build houses. The market has not delivered enough houses in San Diego County for 15 years or more. So we definitely need high-quality projects. This is a good-looking project. There's no doubt in my mind 20 years from now, South O is going to look a lot more like downtown Encinitas or even Santa Monica or North Park than it does single-family bungalows. Having said that, this project has bad parking problems. This is California. Townhomes with no basements are going to have both garages used for storage, and all these cars are going to be out on the street. The street is already lacking parking spaces without this development during business days and on the weekends. I think somebody needs to redo the engineering study for parking. There's also a dangerous traffic problem potentially. Having that entrance on Moore Street will route all of these residents onto residential areas with no sidewalks. This is a walking and skateboarding path to an elementary school. It's less than a quarter mile to the beach. There are kids on skateboards going up and down that street every day. My constructive suggestion would be to send this back to the developer, back to the community, back to staff, and seriously consider putting the entrance on Coast Highway with a right-hand turn into it and a right-hand turn only out of it, and a median on Coast Highway to prevent left-hand turns. This would route commuter traffic down to Oceanside Boulevard and onto the freeway in that direction. I think it would be dramatically safer for the children in the community and solve a lot of the traffic circulation problems. And I think parking would be much better served with underground parking or a parking garage, and not to rely on what is really a theoretical parking situation in the garages. People will not have 2 cars in those garages. I don't care what the CCNRs say. If we needed to have more units in here to free up more parking and to pay for underground parking, I think there's a way a developer and a collaboration with staff could make that happen creatively. So thanks for your kind attention.
Any other members of the public wish to speak on this item may come forward at this time.
And in the lieu of time, I'm going to actually just be saying all the codes and such that actually give substantial evidence against the project. First of all, I think right now that we have an awesome opportunity as a community to create what might be a flagship development for the Coast Highway. And I'm going to start with just proposing the following, where it could be actually a prototype and build goodwill with every piece from chop off to the council to the community. And that would be to include based on public views, a pocket park, since it's already designed to support that, and in lieu of a pocket park, and use our fees to go towards that, would be to allow the project shop-off to go ahead and put rooftop deck views on top of their second-story buildings. As far as canyonization, this is all quid pro quo, because it's over 20 feet. There will be canyonization, and the setbacks are not significant enough, and so I propose a staggering of 1 to 2 to 3 level buildings, and in lieu of that, have allow for more units And also, I think I have lots of ideas, and if there's diagonals on the site placement, there could actually be expanded views, which will increase the sale price of the units, taxes, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, I'm just going to go through and just rattle off all of the codes and such that substantiate this. The scale and land use, 30251 Public Code. Public Resource Code 30253, Endangered Violation 303B. CEQA CCC 21 feet and above has an environmental impact report. It's not exempt. The FEMA flood zone, impaired water body of Loma Alta and the Buccaneer. It's, hang on a second. Public views of the utmost importance is coastal federal state. Coastal Commission laws about if there's a newfound view that it should be recognized. That's not really what I want to say, but that's what it has to do with the pocket park and creating that, embracing that coastal view, because there will be impacts on the public access corridors as far as breeze, as far as visibility. There's going to be impact on public resources such as the beach, etc., and the parking. I could tell you a whole slew on parking. Based on the Leeds project down on Pacific Street and the requirements. And I do have something for Mayor Wood also as far as the population and probability and resource impact as well, because I know that's important to you. Okay, thank you.
Any of the members of the public wish to speak on this item and come forward to this time?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I see none, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public. I know where the public came. So is he coming down? No,
the applicant has 17 minutes for rebuttal.
The applicant is.
Yes, the applicant has 17 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Again, Brian Rupp with Shopoff Realty Investments. Again, I think we've done a good job at addressing the concerns. I know there are some perceived problems here. We've talked to a number of the businesses, members in the community, and some of the comments are not shared by all the members. You know, I think there are some misconceptions here. Some people might want to see another design, but we've brought forth a design which meets the codes, and worked diligently with staff for that. Again, with one other item to mention there, the garage storage issue, it's a requirement of the city. It's a condition of approval. It's going to be enforced by our CCNRs as well. The garages have to be used for automobile storage. So if there are any questions, again, we're here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll close the public comments, come back to the council, start off with Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. I think this is a good project. They followed all the rules. They went through the whole process. The Planning Commission, other than one abstention, it looks like, approved it unanimously. The only question about the three additional parking, how does that get incorporated if we happen to pass that tonight? Is that something that's added on?
We can work with the applicant to revise the plan as part of the plan check process and incorporate the revised plan in our file for our records.
Okay. Because I think they're adequately parked on site, and they're actually taking out 2 curb cuts, so they're actually adding street parking. Right now there's 3 curb cuts, and they'll go down to 1. So it actually does provide more parking along that street. So I think, you know, they've done a good job. This is a good-looking project. The idea that, you know, the zoning is correct. They're building probably a third of the units that would be allowed. So I think they tried to meet the character of the neighborhood as much as possible. Obviously, the neighbors closest to the project, the Las Salinas people, seem to agree, and they like the project. So I think that's the one thing that we have to take into consideration. We understand that the idea that no matter what you build, no matter where you build it, is going to add more traffic. So the idea that, How we mitigate that, I don't know. I don't know how many units were in there when they had the mobile home park, but I think it was pretty much a similar number, about 30-some. Does anybody remember? You're kind of looking at each other. I don't know.
56 units.
So there was 56 units. So we're going from a 56-unit site to a 38-unit site. So the idea, so it is less units. Now I don't know about the tenants or the owners and whether they have how many cars and stuff. We don't know. So what is the ground like up there? I mean, is this a chance for an opportunistic sand project? I mean, we're cutting away part of this to lower the bluff there. Is that sand usable for anything? I don't know. Anyway, take a look at that because if we're going to export 1,100 cubic yards or 11,000 cubic yards, if it's beach quality sand, once you get off, the first couple feet, then maybe it's something we can use on the beach. We'd have the opportunity there. It's not far away, and if it's something that we can use, let's use it. So. The curb cut parking, okay, I'm going to make the motion that we deny the appeal and adopt the resolution upholding planning commission's resolutions and providing that the parking is added back in under the conditions that staff has brought forward. So I think this is a good project.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Thank you very much for that. Deputy Mayor, please.
Can you have a question, a couple of questions? How many units are allowed on this property?
The maximum number of units is 98 based on 43 dwelling units per acre.
And how tall would that kind of building or buildings, how tall would those buildings be?
Well, the density does not necessarily translate into a project because there are other development standards that come into play, setbacks, parking requirements. I couldn't possibly suggest that we could have 98 units. However, the applicant did come in with 76 units, I believe, originally as apartments. There were smaller units that were not condominium townhomes. So it's quite conceivable that a different project with more units could fit on the site. But I'm not sure if we can reach 98, which is the maximum density under general planning and zoning.
Okay.
As far as the height, the maximum height is 35 feet or 3 stories, whichever is less. And the applicant is proposing a 3-story, 34 and a half foot height for the buildings that have flat roofs.
So how would someone with a project get it to 45 feet, which is the other number that was mentioned?
The 45-foot height is what's allowed along Coast Highway for commercial zone projects. So the majority of the properties along Coast Highway could conceivably develop up to that height.
Thank you.
Councilmember Feller, please.
Pardon me. I know the Beauty College has already changed their policy of allowing part of their beauticians to park on site. I know he is certainly concerned about it, but it has freed up some parking there. And I think we should accept the 3 units as help in that regard. The thing about South Oceanside, actually, from the lagoon to the 8th Street? What do we call that now? Breakwater? Those homes in all of that area are typically old homes, and single-car garages. And honestly, the people, I've driven those streets now, up and down weekends, mornings, just to see how the parking is there. And the people don't have a place to park on in their own garages, much like I know we don't park in our garage because we have a lot of storage of things, but we're in a place where I have a 2-car driveway, so I don't have to park on the street. In all of South Oceanside, those are small homes designed initially, and some of them are expanding, but most of them are in that situation of not having anything more than a 1-car, 1 spot in the driveway. And so everybody parks in the street, all the way up and down Morse, up and down California, Alvarado, Freeman, all of them, they park in the street. And so it's not just, I think the issue is that it's a universal problem in South Oceanside for parking. As far as Primo's Market, we could give them green curbs to allow them to have, the 5 or 10 or 12-minute parking. They have used up some of their parking, I think, on the side of the building where they have the barbecue. So there's a lot of things going on in that neighborhood that, of course, you want the business to thrive, but there's an awful lot going on in the whole neighborhood that causes the actual parking issue. And that, for me, you couldn't see the coast through that mobile home park, or that, the coastal view has no bearing on what was there before or what would be there. You can't see the coast through that if you're parked on Moore Street. Everywhere down there impacts the parking, so I don't think parking is 38 units is going to make significant impact in what's being suggested here. So that's why I seconded the motion.
Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did have an opportunity to speak to the applicant and the residents. South O, I grew up in Oceanside, so South O is very much a community that I respect, that I love, that I know. Known a lot of families. South O, know them now. And so to not know that there's this huge character issue, that there are people who are very much involved in their communities, that are people who embrace development, are not not in my own not in my backyard type folks. These are really good people to see that they were completely left out. Is a huge issue for me. I don't see that having a community input at the tail end of a project can ever be good. So I see this as a complete failure from our side, from staff side of this project. Not from the applicant, because the applicant indicated they've been working with staff for well over a year on this. What happens to the community? We had a whole community process for the vision of South O. There's so much activity going on in South O commercially and also residentially. And to have two very strong organizations that exist, so it'd be so easy for a presentation to have been done by staff, by You know, I mean, I don't even know if staff let the applicant know that there is such a thing as the Southwell Merchants and Neighborhoods Association that meets pretty often, that there is something called the Oceanside Coastal Neighborhood Association. I mean, these are the things that any community, any city would want to happen, this interaction, this dialogue, because this is what's going to create excitement about what's happening in Oceanside within our own communities. So for me, this is, you know, I'm very saddened that there's this huge disconnect between staff and the public on this particular project. I'm not saying on all of them, but this particular project, which is 2.3 acre, sizable lot. I think this one especially, Councilmember Deputy Mayor Lowry, screams for needing more than a 300-foot notice. A project like this size should have been 1,500 feet, and I would say even further than that, that it certainly warranted a better staff report. I've never seen such a short staff report, 6.5 pages, where it's mostly conclusionary statements, no real descriptions, no analysis. Maybe it's because there was no interaction with the community, and therefore that didn't have to happen. You know, that's why we could get away with, you know, having a streamlined, it almost looked like a cut and paste job, you know. Okay, this code works, and this code, you know, is satisfying this code, with no real explanation at all, no dialogue. So that's what I see as a major problem in with this project. That there was no real public process, no opportunity for the community input. I think that if that had happened at the beginning, this project would have failed, and there wouldn't have been a call for review. So there's a lot that we need to do going forward to change that. Again, we're not talking about a community that, and we have some neighborhoods where people end up driving very long distances to get to work, and they get home, they've got families, and they really don't have the time to go to a meeting. And so if they were to get a notice, you know, maybe they'd write a letter. We're talking about folks that are at work and live in the same community many times and are very, very active. This shouldn't ever happen again, and I hope it doesn't. So I was a person who called this project for review. I don't think we're ready for a 3-story building on Coast Highway. When we visualized and talked about nodes, I think it was, you know, more concentrated and perhaps a mixed use. And I mean, there was a lot of dialogue that we had during the visioning process. This doesn't even, you know, it has no relationship to the vision, to the South O vision plan. So it's, you know, I appreciate all the work that the applicant did on this project. I appreciate that they're adding the 3. I was hoping for 4, at least 4 of those parking spots. I just have a real problem with this project that there just was not that public input. I believe we could have had a much, much better project. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other lights for my comments on this. I was part of the request for review also. I got some complaints and calls regarding parking and a few other things. Some of those have been addressed. I understand it. I get people from the mobile home park center, they really love it 100%, and a few people saying no. It's a tough call for all of us. I think some of the concerns have been addressed, not perfectly, I'll agree to that, but with all the information I've received going to the scene, talking to people, I certainly have to make a decision on this, and I will, so I'm going to call for the vote right now. If we have a motion and a second, please vote.
For clarification, so just to clarify, the motion was to deny the call for review and to affirm the Planning Commission decision, adding the 3 parking spots. Yes.
Yes.
Motion approved for 1 Sanchez, no.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time coming here and speaking in front of us. I know it's tough. I'm going to move in another direction right now. By the way, we're practicing these new hours. I'm not sure they're going to work, if you know what I mean, get a little later. But with that in mind, I have staff that's staying late. Could I do item number 20, please, with the city manager?
Yes, item number 20 is City Council 5-year financial forecast.
Yeah. Good evening, Jane. I'm sorry, and for everybody here, this is our new financial director.
Good evening, Honorable.
Good to see you here. Thank you. I know you've left your card there today. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
stop by.
I was out and about. I apologize, but for the people in the audience on TV, financial director for the city of Oceanside right now. So thank you very much for being here. This is the city manager's item, but please go right ahead.
All right. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. I'm Jane McPherson. I'm the interim Financial Services Director. I'm here tonight to present the 5-year financial forecast. The purpose of the forecast is to identify financial trends, identify changes in expenditures, and project the cost of maintaining current service levels. There were assumptions used in this forecast, such as the biggest one is that we assume static conditions. That means no change. With that assumption, it does not include employee pay raises and any new capital projects. Changes from 2014 to 2015 adopted budgets of note. Revenues are projected to be up 2.65% for reoccurring revenues. PERS costs up 1.45%. Personnel costs overall up 3.14%. And total recurring expenditures up 3.43%. Biggest question is, what is our capacity going into the 2015-16 budget? Net capacity from the forecast is $1.7 million. It's a fairly slim margin compared to what we had in the prior year. We have a mandatory 12% that we have to maintain in our Helly City. Because there is not a huge jump in the total expenditure budget, it only relates to $100,000 that we're going to have to add. That gives us an available capacity for $1.6 million for you as council members to decide what your important items are, employee raises, and so forth. Alternatively, there can be a decision to discontinue current services, but that's up to you to direct. Any questions, comments?
If I may, and first off, welcome. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I kept you late, but with new hours, this is what's happening with staff. I had sent a request in the past to you, wondering where some of the monies that we have out there, allegedly, for consultant costs for like the Melrose Drive, the RDO at 78, or the Memorial Hills. They were in the 1.4, 1.5 millions each. I think that's not going to happen. I would like to see, and I'll get with the city manager anyway, see that type of money not spent for those items and coming back to the general fund. So that's my comments. I haven't had a chance to go through all these either, but if they're out there and we're not going to use them and we can't do that, I'd like to see those funds come back to the general fund for uses, but add on to the top of this. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Could you have a seated sidebar while we're waiting on this? And it went out. Thank you. Public on this, please?
No public comment.
Back to the council. Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did we figure in we approved the police raises tonight?
Yes.
That's been figured into these numbers?
Yes, it has.
Okay, so on a go-forward basis, we have a $1.6 million.
Right. It also included our estimates for future MOUs that would be approved in 15-16.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Judson, your lights.
Say that again.
I'm sorry.
I want to hear her answer again.
Yes, his question was, were the recently approved OPOA increases included in the budget? And I said, yes, they are. We also looked at estimating, because you can only estimate going forward in the forecast for other MOUs that may be approved during the year of 2015-16.
Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think there are a lot of things that we're assuming when you do that presentation. There's, you're assuming that we're fixed on all the decisions that we've made in terms of how we decide to prioritize our spending, and I think what we have is a great opportunity to review our priorities, our spending priorities, and this is not a limitation at all. This is a challenge. This is something that in making and deciding how we're going to make Oceanside the best possible, the greatest possible. I think we have an opportunity to review all this. We do have a workshop coming up having to do with reviewing our priorities, and those priorities can change, which means money that we're putting into projects could be moved from that to a different one. So I'm looking forward to that workshop. This is kind of, probably not a good time to be doing this. Perhaps after we've had our opportunity to do the workshop, and then looking at what we're looking at for the next this council for the next years, then perhaps this report will be will have more relevance, something more to say about where we're going. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no others. By the way, this information on this item is for accept, modify, provide direction to staff, so I'm assuming I'm going to make a motion to accept as it stands. If that'll help anybody on that, if we need a second or not, and do we? Just for information, I know. Do you want an exception? No problem, that's fine, then we don't need any more. Jane, thank you for your time, and I appreciate that. With that item moved on, I'd like to do item number 17, please, and Mr. Clerk, please.
Yes, item number 17 is public hearing to complete the proceedings for the formation and levy of special taxes for the City of Oceanside Community Facilities District number 2014-1, open space and habitat maintenance, and adoption of resolutions approving formation of the Community Facilities District, calling a special election of property owners within the district boundaries, and declaring the results of the special election, and directing the recordation of a notice of special tax lien, adoption of an ordinance levying a special tax lien, and authorization for the city clerk to accept and report a conservation easement for the area to be maintained through the Community Facilities District.
Thank you. 1 second, please. Thank you. Please go ahead. Sorry.
Public hearing. It's a public hearing.
I'm sorry, I call it disclosures first. Please, go right ahead.
Staff.
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 Staff only.
We don't do very many of these, by the way, so we're all looking around. This is unusual, so I'll gather you're going to open up and explain everything to everybody.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. I'm Curtis Jackson with the Property Management Department. I'm here recommending City Council to proceed with the formation of the City of Oceanside Community Facilities District number 2014-1 for the El Camino Executive Center. The formation of the Community Facilities District requires City Council to conduct a public hearing to complete the proceedings for the formation and levy a special tax for the Community Facility District. This includes approving formation of the Community Facility District, calling a special election of the property owners within the district boundaries, declaring the results of the special elections, directing the recordation of notice of a special tax lien, introduction of an ordinance levying the special tax lien, which is to be adopted at the next council meeting. And finally, City Council must authorize the city clerk to accept and record a conservation easement for the area to be maintained through the Community Facility District. As some background, the city was approached by the owner/developer of the El Camino Executive Center project, Hawks Oceanside LLC, to facilitate the formation of this Community Facility District as a funding mechanism to maintain the habitat that is required for the project. Overall, the property is 3.5 acres, and the two-story office building will take up 1 acre of that, leaving a balance of 2.5 acres to be maintained. This facility district will be renewed annually and has a CPI increase to make sure that those costs are covered. The annual costs are estimated to be $5,276, which again will go up with the CPI cost. The city owns the adjacent parcel, and because we own the adjacent parcel, we will maintain this parcel as well with this funding source. And it should be at a minimal cost to us, as it's already something that we are performing. This condition is required per the conditions of approval of the project, and that condition was required per the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. If you have any questions, I will answer them for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a seat, sidebar. I've got some statements here. This is the time and place for the public hearing in this council's proceedings for Community Facilities District number 2014-1, Open Space and Habitat Maintenance. The hearing is to inquire into the formation of the district and the levies of special taxes in the district. Before I formally open the public hearing, or this hearing, all the times for property owners or registered voters in the districts who wish to file written protests. If so, they must file with the city clerk now. And I think I'll pause here for me. I don't see any files beating up the doors here, but the hearing is now open. We will first have presentations by the staff as we did that, and go back to you. Let's see, what do you want me to do here next? Comments from the public. Thank you.
At this time, any members of the public may proceed to the council to discuss this item for 3 minutes, if they wish.
I see none. Do you? I'll close the public hearing and come back. Thank you, sir. Jump in to take it or leave.
This is a little bit unusual. We haven't done one of these in quite a while. So at this point, we're looking for a motion from the council members to adopt the two resolutions. Initially, this is the resolution of the council for the formation of the Community Facility District, and a resolution of the City Council calling for a special election. Special property owner election. We need to vote on that first before we can proceed with the second part of this item.
Thank you. With that, I'll make a motion that we pass these two resolutions, first and second one.
Second.
You just read out. We have a second on that, and with that, the city clerk will please announce the results of the property vote.
We're going to take a vote on those two resolutions first.
Okay,
Mr. Clerk, did you get that vote?
Yes, I received the vote.
Okay. Yeah, we go here first, then.
So the two resolutions were adopted?
You have to vote.
We need to vote on those. We'll need to vote on those two resolutions.
I made a motion for both of them, and there was a second. If there's questions from the councilors or comments, please let me know. If not, first off, Councilmember Sanchez, you have a question?
Yeah.
With that, please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Okay, now with that, we need the clerk to announce the result of the property owner balloted vote.
Yes, the result of the property owner vote is a yes.
Okay. There's only one property owner on this.
So
all these procedures.
Vote already with the one, huh? Okay.
We're there. So now we'll need to proceed with the second resolution. and, I'm sorry, the third resolution and the introduction of the ordinance. So the resolution is of the City Council of the City of Oceanside declaring the results of the special election and directing recording of the notice of special tax lien. And then we also have the introduction of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside levying special tax within Community Facility District number 2014-1, open space and habitat maintenance.
Move adoption.
Thank you.
Second.
We have that. With that, no comments. Move message. Excuse me, your light was on too. Please vote. Good job.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much. Before I stumble on any further, that was 17. Mr. Clerk, could we skip item 19? That's my item. Before you get started on that, that's an item that I'm going to remove from the agenda. Thank you very much. Probably nice to come back at a later date, but we'll see. Thank you very much. With that, the only thing I see left is council reports. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Sir?
Just for the record, there's no closed session, so there's no report.
Well, thank you. We won't do that when there's no closed session. We'll go with it. First one, a couple of things that I have to do, and I'm first up for you ladies and gentlemen out here. We're moving in a good direction. I thank you. We've got past the January almost. But the other thing here that I want to mention tonight, and hopefully at the end of this we'll have a few moments of silence. We get these once in a while. Melba Bishop, a former council person, passed away the other night and had some services at North County Church. She was heavily involved politically in this community, a good friend of mine. She's passed away. I'll remember that as a personal friend and somebody who worked on the council, number one. Certainly, I think somebody might touch on it later, but Councilmember Esther Sanchez's father passed away, a longtime resident, a good family friend here in town, passed away, and there's funeral services this Friday. I'll let her mention that, but if we could, when you all finish, I'd like to have a moment of silence for those two individuals, unless somebody wants to add something to the list. We seem to have a lot of those lately. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Deputy Mayor Lowry.
Well, I did go to the memorial for Melba Bishop, and it was very interesting for me to recall that she gave a lot to me as an individual. I know that she also gave to the community in general, but she was very specific about the direction she gave to people who came to her for advice, and pretty often it was funny. But I had a lot of different experiences talking with her, and I learned a lot from her, and I'm grateful for that and for the memory. Yesterday I went to the new McDonald's on Kenyon for the Coffee with a Cop event, which was, and it's an outreach program that the Oceanside Police Department has come up with to provide access for community members who are interested in speaking to the police officers and maybe other people involved in our city government. And I went because I was curious about how it was taking place and who was going, and there were a lot of people there. There were probably 16 to 18 police officers, including the police chief, who showed up. And we also had about probably 40 to 60 members of the public who were there. So it was a really good positive outreach event, I think, for people who just had questions and wanted to know more about what was going on in the city or had issues they wanted to discuss with the police officers. Anyway, there's going to be more scheduled, and so I don't know how to find out about the future ones, but hopefully you can find out about them by watching your local media or checking in on Facebook or Nextdoor, any of the social media sites. That's where I found out about it. Anyway, the Kiwanis celebrated their 100th birthday event yesterday. The official day of their founding is today. So it was really interesting going to meet with the folks who are members of the local and regional Kiwanis groups, and they do a lot within the community to help kids and keep things moving forward within our local areas. I went on the Monday morning, I went to the Martin Luther King breakfast at Maricosta, and that was a really thought-provoking event, and in particular one of the speakers is a young man whose name is Zurban Singleton. He was a super professional, motivational type speaker who had a really good story to tell. So if you see Zurban Singleton speaking anywhere, I would suggest you go listen to him. Very, very thoughtful. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. Had a Parks and Rec meeting, and their discussion centered around Jaime Figueroa and Project Reach. The students are going to do on May 16th an outreach, but they have a complete mural project that they're going to bring forward to us. The Parks and Rec Commission did approve that, and many of those members were quite excited about that mural project. So I wanted to let you all know that's coming here to us shortly. I wanted to say something about Zurban as well, that Chuck mentioned him. This was a young man that had absolutely everything going against him, as from a baby all the way through. And his family, aunt and uncle, I think, took care of him when his mother was in jail. But he never asked for a handout from government. He pulled himself up by himself. He was determined to do it. Ended up being a graduate of Georgia Tech, a walk-on at Georgia Tech, and then went on to the Naval Academy. And now he's a Marine Corps captain, helicopter pilot. He just wanted to fly. And so his story is special. He did not ask for a handout. Hand up, that's all. And so I thought it was exceptional. We hosted, the city hosted about 70 Polynesian football players in the Poly, they called it the Poly Bowl. There's some big kids, and they were from all over the country, all of the islands. These were guys that made Mr. Jepson look kind of small. So these were big boys. I was in Los Angeles with my father, and I just want to say a 92-year-old guy is still working, and my hat's off to him. But this Beavers Convention, which is heavy construction people, and the Army Corps of Engineers were there, as well as many leaders in the construction industry. Went to the installation of a new pastor at St. John's Missionary Baptist Church, Kadri Webb. And for those members of St. John's, they were pretty traditional as far as a Baptist church. I think this Kadri Webb is going to be a whole eye-opener for some of the older members of that church, and I think that's pretty great. I went to the Kiwanis birthday yesterday. Today we had a funeral also for Mary Ellen Gurman, who Dr. Bob Gurman I've known for almost 30 years, and in her as well. But it was expected, and unfortunately we're all going to go that way. We just need to be prepared. There's a public workshop on the 29th at Carlsbad Senior Center on Pine Avenue. It's a workshop about I-5 and 78. And there's a Chamber Meet the City event. I think it's that same night, the 29th. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Kern.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. One of the things people probably know that we have a new leader, superintendent, president at Maricosta College. So I attended the inauguration of Dr. Sunita Sunny Cook. It's a little different because she was born in India. I spent the first 4 years of her life in India before she came to the United States. But she speaks kind of with a Texas accent. So I couldn't quite place that until the Martin Luther King breakfast when Dick Robertson, the vice president of Maricosta, explained where that accent came from, so I couldn't understand it. Very dynamic speaker, very smart, I think that Maricosta College is going to head in the right direction under her leadership, and I'm really excited about that. And one of the things that, now that she's here, one of the first things that was announced that Maricosta is now going to be able to offer 4-year degrees in biomechanics. So that is really something for us because there's only 15 community colleges in the state which will be allowed to do a 4-year program. And biomechanics, biomanufacturing really fits into our economic development plans up here. We have Genentech, and we have Gilead, and we have some of the smaller biomanufacturers here. So the idea that having a biomanufacturing 4-year degree from Maricosta College is going to be really great for us. I also attended the State of the City address from Kevin Faulkner, the mayor of San Diego. Those things are always interesting to go to down at the Balboa Theater to see how that's laid out. As I mentioned earlier, I've been working the last few months with Daniel Foster from the Museum of Art about the North County Artist Network. We had our first meeting. The honorary chairs are Supervisor Horn and Supervisor Roberts. The next meeting is in a couple of months over at Escondido. The summer meeting is going to be at the Lux facility in Carlsbad, and then in the fall meeting is going to be here at the Museum of Art. I'm really excited about the direction of art in North County. We are starting to come together and really start to look at this region as something that can support the arts, as something that will be a mecca for art for people to come to North County. You know, a lot of people now go to San Diego or they go to Orange County, but we have the capacity here to actually incorporate a lot of this arts and places to display art and some of the theater, the live art, and all of those things here in North County. So I'm really excited about that. And Daniel's worked on this quite some time. Like I said, I started this back in May. Things got kind of pushed around. We got to go through the election cycle. And so now that we're going, I think in the next couple of years, you'll see this emergence of an arts community in North County. So I think it's really going to be nice to do that. So to do that, again, I attended the Martin Luther King breakfast with most of the council members. And also last Saturday, the Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Tyler Smith at the First Presbyterian Church in El Camino. The mayor was there. The one thing that's actually amazing, because we've all gone to these, but it seems like we do this Troop 752, it seems like we do one every couple of months. They have really done a good job of bringing those young men along and to attain that rank of Eagle Scout. Because I think, since I've been here, I think probably a dozen times I've been up there for Eagle Scout Court of Honor. And so I really got to commend the parents and the troop and the scout masters about keeping those kids on track and getting them through that program. Because in reality, nationwide, only 2% of all scouts ever make it to Eagle Scout. So I think Troop 752, I think that probably 5 times that amount make it to Eagle Scout. So they've really done a good job. So anyway, and that's all my presentation. So thank you.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you, and I do have to apologize to our community. I have not been able to attend many events these past few weeks. Our family has been pretty devastated by the passing of my dad, our dad, and he's the guy that gave me the passion for Oceanside. He moved to Oceanside when he was 7 years old, and lived within 2 blocks from age 7 to his passing at almost 85. I actually wrote an obituary for him, and I'm going to read it because he meant so much to me, to my family, to many people here growing up in East Side, and things that he did along the way. There's still a lot of folks that knew him, that will remember him, and I'd like to do that, honor him, and so in a way celebrate his life. So here goes. Luis Reyes Sanchez Jr. was born in a small rural town, Texas town, on January 28, 1930. In 1937, his dad, Luis Sr., took his young family to California to the small seaside town of Oceanside. The Sanchez family grew to 7 boys and 1 girl. That being Tony, these are my uncles, Tony, Raymond, Louis, Ted, Emma, Henry, Joe, and Valdo. Louis helped support his family by working in the fields. As a teenager, Louis loved sports and trained as a boxer, becoming an avid boxing fan throughout his life. Louis also loved his motorcycle, traveling up and down California as well as across the border. On one of these trips to Tijuana, Louis met and fell in love with Carolina Sanchez, pursuing Caro until she said yes. They married in Oceanside at St. Mary's Catholic Church just across the street here on June 26, 1954. Louis landed a civil service job at Camp Pendleton, the new base, just north of Oceanside, where he worked as a warehouseman for 35 years, receiving commendations from base command for his excellent attendance. In 1957, Louis and Caro built their home on Pole Street. Their home would become their pride and joy, taking great pleasure in raising his kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, landscaping, gardening, his patio, his famously terrific barbecues, his 57 Chevy Impala, and 73 Ford T-Bird, and listening to rock and roll, mariachi, ranchero, trio, and huapango music. Louis loved his boys. He especially loved spending time with son Louis and his softball tournaments, and son Tony and his pay-per-view boxing events at his home, where all family and friends and neighbors would gather. He was daughter Esther's biggest fan when she ran for Oceanside City Council. Louis loved his family, including his brothers and sister and their families, as well as his wife Garo's family, which he loved as his own. He loved Oceanside, the beach, the pier, fishing, and he loved his East Side neighborhood, petitioning for paving the roads and Joe Valderrama Park. Louis remained involved throughout his life, including the community garden, which they lovingly called El Rancho Grande. In 2009, he was diagnosed with kidney failure and started dialysis. Louis became a shining star at the North Coast Kidney Center, where he made many friends. Just short of his 85th birthday, Louis suffered a stroke. On January 8th, the Lord took Louis, surrounded by his family, at the home he built and created with so much love and care. Louis was preceded by his parents, Louis and Candelaria Sanchez, his aunt Filomena, and his brothers, Joe and Tony. Louis is survived by his loving and beloved wife of 60.5 years, Carolina, his kids, Esther, Louis III, Lou, and Anthony, Tony, daughter-in-law Angela, grandkids Michael, Christian, Christina, and David, great-grandchildren Christian Jr., CJ, Thomas and Anthony, beloved brothers and sisters, sister Raymond, Ted, Emma, Henry, and Valdo, and a host of beloved brothers and sisters-in-law, nephews, nieces, cousins, and their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Viewing and rosary are Thursday, which is tomorrow, January 22nd, at Eternal Hills, 4 to 8 p.m., with rosary recited at 6:30 p.m. Funeral Mass is on Friday, January 23rd at 11 a.m. at St. Mary's Star of the Sea Catholic Church, to be followed by a graveside ceremony at Eternal Hills Memorial Park, Oceanside. He was a wonderful man, and I'll miss him dearly. And thank
I
you.
appreciate that, and I knew your father quite well, and it was very nice of what you wrote for him. If we did, we'd like to adjourn to, if I may here, to Wednesday, February the 4th, 2015, at this location, 3:30 p.m. For a closed session, then the council meeting after that. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Melba Bishop and for Esther's father, and I thank you for that, please. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Be safe.